What's up, guys? It's Toad back with you for Friday, April 11th. Let's get it going, man. We had a really nice day last night, or really nice day yesterday, nice night last night, whatever you want to talk about. We only had one loss yesterday. So yesterday, just to go through it really quickly, it was 6-1, I believe. Is that right? Let me look real quick. We won on the Colorado Rockies. The under in the Red Sox game lost, and that wasn't, or the over, lost. It went under. That game wasn't even really that close. It was a low-scoring game, went into extra innings, and extra innings almost helped us out, but still it wound up being a 7-run game. Extra innings really kill these unders, man, but in that case, it did not, unfortunately for me, because I had the over. I did get the under in Philly, Atlanta quite easily, although that went into extra innings as well, where unders go to die. But luckily, it was 1-1 going into extra innings, so the game only got up to 6, with Atlanta winning with a walk-off 2-run homer, I think in the 11th or something. So that worked out. Columbus Blue Jackets win for me for once. So how about that? 1-goal game. Seattle Kraken covered on the spread. They hit the puck line there, which was basically the entire bet. I played it like a spread bet, so that won. Detroit Pistons started off not that great, and they came back and won the game and had the lead down the stretch and put it away. So I will take that day. 5-1 day, I believe is what it was. So nice day. Let's move on to today, man. Today's going to be interesting. I do have 5 baseball plays on a pretty packed baseball card. You know me. I play a lot of baseball, and it seems I feel like I'm restraining myself today. There are a lot of games where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to try to get through this fast. We do have a small NHL card where I don't have any plays. I have one in NBA, where NBA last couple of games of the regular season, it's going to be difficult to handicap. I mean, in hockey, I don't even know if I want to even talk about many of these games. I mean, Montreal-Ottawa was a pretty big game as those teams, I mean, is it even that big? I don't know. Both those teams are pretty much guaranteed the 2 wild card spots now, but it is still kind of a big game between some kind of geographic rivals there in Canada. Ottawa down from -170 to -163, but they got 78% of the cash coming in on them, 57% of tickets on Montreal, so the cash looks like it's coming in on the Ottawa side. Would I touch this game at all? No, I would not. But that's one of the interesting games up today. Montreal's on a nice win streak. They won 6 in a row. Ottawa just lost to Columbus 2 days ago or whatever it was, or a couple days ago. So neither team played yesterday, I don't think. So Ottawa coming off an ugly loss, but it did kind of break their win streak there. So I don't know, man. I mean, looks like the money's coming in on them to bounce back from that. They pretty much already have the top wild card spot sealed. I don't think they can move up out of the wild card either because of the way the divisions line up. So it's pretty crazy, actually, because Ottawa's kind of close to they actually have more points than the Devils, but they're sitting in the wild card spot because they're in the Atlantic, where all these teams are better than they are, or have a better record at least. But I would say all those teams are better than they are. So kind of interesting. And Montreal, I believe, is in the same division as Ottawa as well. So pretty weird setup there. Detroit's at Tampa Bay. Detroit still fighting to stay alive. Tampa down from -275 to -265. Tampa's already in the playoffs. 62% of tickets on them. 53% of the cash coming into Detroit. So I agree generally with the money coming into Detroit is you're getting them at a huge underdog price, and they're the team that has anything to play for here, really, is Tampa pretty much locked in. I mean, they could actually overtake Toronto for the 1 seed, or they could fall below Florida, but I don't think that's that much of a motivator. Bigger motivator is a huge underdog is the Wings just trying to stave off elimination here. So I think that's probably the way I would lean, which is where the money is coming in. And Minnesota, Calgary, I mean, this one's interesting as well, as I took down the standings. Whoops. This game, let me look at the wild card standings real quick. I want to get through hockey quick here. Minnesota, they're sitting in the wild card spot. Calgary is the only non-eliminated team that, they're the only non-eliminated team left that's not in the playoffs right now. And they're 5 points back. So you might see a little bit more of a motivated effort out of Calgary here. Minnesota, though, up from -120 to -123 is a road favorite here. 75% of tickets, 94% of the cash coming into them. So odds makers kind of lining both of these teams like they're both a bit overrated, as they're telling you that Minnesota is better than Calgary enough so that they're laying a price on the road. But we've seen Minnesota not laying that much of a price or being an underdog against some teams that appear to not be as good as they are. So I think both of these teams are kind of overrated at this point. Calgary as a home underdog, though, I mean, it seems a little bit difficult to pass that up. I mean, I'm passing it up, but if you were forced to play the side, they're returning home from a road trip. It was only a 2-game road trip down to the Pacific Coast there. They lost to Anaheim, which is a really ugly loss. Minnesota, I mean, like I said, they have a little bit less to play for here as they're already in the wild card spot. Kind of unlikely they're going to fall behind Calgary at this point. Calgary probably going to be the more motivated team here, although Minnesota just barely beat San Jose, and now they're starting a road trip. So a little bit less travel for them. And starting a road trip, you do tend to be focused. So I'm not going to play that game. Let's go over to NBA. And NBA, we just have a bunch of ridiculous stuff going on. We have a lot of double-digit spreads. So basically what you have going on in the NBA is the Eastern Conference is almost completely decided now for the most part. So all these teams, 7 through 10, all those teams are locked into the play-in spots at this point. It is just a matter of the Hawks, Bulls, Heat. Those 3 teams could all still shuffle around, I think, as far as trying to get up into the 8 seed, which I said teams want to get the 8 seed to get home advantage, but that's not really what it is. It's the advantage that if you win one game, you get into the actual playoffs. So that's why you want to be a 7 or an 8. Although if you're the 8, you have to be the road team. But if you're 9 and 10, you have to win 2 games to get in. So that's the deal there. But you got the Hawks, the Bulls, and the Heat are all huge favorites for that reason, as they're all playing teams that don't have anything to play for. Heat up to a 13-point favorite on the road against the Pelicans. Bulls up to 16.5 against the Wizards. So they're both playing horrific teams. The Hawks, I think, are playing a really bad team as well. They're playing the 76ers. They're up from 9.5 to 11.5. I wouldn't lay the double digits with any of those teams. I mean, the odds makers know those teams are the only teams with something to play for in those games. So you're laying just way too much of a price with those teams, in my opinion. Orlando is actually an underdog against the Pacers, which is a little bit more tempting, but I don't think Orlando can even move out of the spot at this point. I mean, they're locked into this 7-8 matchup, I'm pretty sure, and I think they may even have the 7 seed clinched to host that game as well. I think they have their division clinched, which kind of tells you that is the case. I think they're actually locked into the 7 as far as the play-in is concerned. So I don't think Orlando can really do anything right now. So that's probably why they're 7.5 point underdog here against the Pacers here. Is the Pacers, I believe the Pacers did just clinch the 4 seed, though. I mean, they could move up to the 3. I don't know that they really want to do that and have to face probably the Celtics in the second round. So they may want to actually even avoid that. So I don't know. But the Pacers are a big favorite here because they are the team that has a little bit more of something to play for, I guess, even though moving up to the 3 doesn't really matter. Like I said, Pacers did just clinch their spot, and they actually did it last night by beating Cleveland, and that clinched a home playoff series for them. So Indiana could be in a bit of a letdown spot here, to be honest. So maybe the lean would be to Orlando. The problem is Orlando, if they were a motivated team here, I would look to maybe take the points with Orlando, but I don't think they really are. I think they're locked into the 7. So I don't really want to touch this game. The other games we got going on, I mean, Cleveland is laying 7.5 at New York. New York laying 7.5 hosting Cleveland. Cleveland might rest their guys again. I mean, they played last night. They're on a back-to-back. They have nothing to play for. They're in the 1 seed right now. The Knicks, I believe, have already clinched a home playoff series as well. It's just that they could fall to the 4. But maybe they actually want to do that, like I said, because maybe they want to avoid the Celtics, who completely own the Knicks. So I don't know. But the Knicks, they might show up anyway because they want to beat Cleveland, and this could be a potential playoff preview series. And the Knicks did just lose to Cleveland not that long ago after the Knicks were actually doing well in the first half of that game. So very tough read in this game as well. Pacers, by the way, are up from 7 to 7.5. Knicks actually down from 10 to 8 here. But some of the line movement, you got to be really careful because a lot of it is like shifting personnel as well. As we know, Cleveland rested a bunch of starters last night, and they may continue to do the same. Dallas is locked into that lower play-in, which is why they're laying double digits as well. I don't think they can move up. Minnesota, I believe, does have something to play for, but they're on a back-to-back. They had a huge comeback last night and a big win over the Grizzlies. Minnesota is at least guaranteed to be in the top play-in game right now. But of course, they could get out of the play-in, so they still have a lot of motivation to try to avoid the play-in. So that's where Minnesota's at right now. But they played last night, like I said, and they had that huge, like 53-point or 54-point third quarter or whatever it was, to get that win over Minnesota. So now they're on, or over Memphis. Excuse me. Yeah, they beat themselves. No, they beat Memphis. Now they're on a back-to-back, coming back home, although only from Memphis. But kind of a difficult spot and against a horrible Brooklyn Nets team. Minnesota, the only team with anything to play for. Laying 19 points. I mean, would I really want to lay 19 points when they just need to win the game? No. I mean, it's probably a get in, get out. We think we can win this game without really putting in that much effort situation here. The game I am going to go to, though, Memphis and Denver, this is more of a clean handicap because both of these teams need to win. Denver up from 7 to 7.5 now. 79% of tickets, 88% of the cash. This is my only NBA play, and I'm going to lay the 7 with Denver. I mean, I would prefer the 7, obviously, because like I say, NBA, that's a key number. Because but the 7 is the key number because that's the 3-score threshold. So when it gets to a 7-point lead, teams stop intentionally fouling at that point. So 7 is a lot better than 7.5. But if you want to try to play Denver in any way, like maybe find like a money line way to play it. Like I don't love parlays, but I know a lot of guys do the money line parlay if they really like 2 favorites just to knock down the price. I don't really like it because they're not correlated outcomes though. So I still don't think you get a good enough price on it. But Memphis, they played last night, like I just said, a big game against Minnesota, and they totally imploded in that game. And now they have to go on the road with no time off into Elevation. And they're playing a third game in 4 days now, all in different cities, because they had just returned home from a road trip last night. Big game against Minnesota, had a lead in the game, totally blew it, imploded it. Now they're going out to Denver, and then they have Dallas to finish the season, which probably will be a win for them because Dallas doesn't need to do anything else. Dallas is locked into the 9-10 game, although Dallas, I guess, is technically still playing to try to host that game. I think they could wind up being the road, or they are the road team right now, but I think they could potentially host it. So I guess Dallas has a little bit of motivation right now. But I like Denver here, man. I mean, Denver, I was on them in their last game. They got it done for me. Jamal Murray is still not supposed to be back in this game, so they are missing one of their starters here, but the rest of their guys are back. They broke that loss streak, which I like, man. I mean, they fired their coach. I play it on the fired coach spot, but a lot of times that fired coach spot will actually fire you up for like a couple of games in a row. And when that game kind of started some new momentum for them and broke that losing momentum, they're coming back home, I know, from the Pacific Coast. So they had a couple days off prior to that game, and now they have 1 day off after that game as well, beating Sacramento. Coming back home, this is their home finale. Big game against Memphis. The spot lines up better for Denver. And like I said, both teams need this game. Memphis, although Memphis at worst, they're going to be in the top play-in game here, although they could potentially play themselves out of the play-in. But Denver they're sitting right now where they'd be hosting a playoff series. So they could either host a playoff series or they could fall all the way down still into the play-in. And actually, that goes for both of these teams. And I think Denver is going to want to hold serve at home here. I mean, both teams want to win this game, like I said, so it's more of a clean handicap, but I think the spot is significantly worse for Memphis here. Tough spot for them. Memphis is also missing, I forget his name, but kind of an unheralded player on Memphis who is like their best defender. I think he might still be out in this game. Actually, let me see real quick. Before I move over to the other sports here. And Phoenix, by the way, is eliminated, but I don't want to touch any of that. Golden State still needs to play as they're playing for seeding there as well. And the Clippers are also playing for seeding, by the way. Actually, yeah, let me just look at the Memphis injury report real quick here. Let me see. Jalen Wells, I think, is who it is. So I think he's out for a while, and I think that's who I was thinking of. So I think he's not going to be back until maybe somewhere into the postseason. Really sucks for them. So Denver will be the play in that one. But yeah, as I was saying, Golden State, they're the only team with anything to play for against Portland, so they're laying double digits. I don't want to touch that. Clippers at Sacramento, I think technically kind of both have something to play for. Sacramento is trying to hold on to hosting Dallas in the lower of the play-in games, I believe is where they're at right now. They're going to be in that game. It's just a matter of whether they're hosting it or not. So that's what they have to play for. The Clippers are in that huge mess of teams that could either host a playoff game or fall all the way down into the play-in. So I do think the Clippers have a little bit more motivation there. So maybe I would slightly lean that way. But the Clippers coming off crushing Houston, which is a huge win, and Houston doesn't really have anything to play for anymore, so I don't know that that's really the greatest spot for them. Sacramento Kings coming off a tough game as well against Denver, though, where they lost the game, so kind of a tough read here. Clippers up from 5 to 6.5, but 57% of tickets on them, 61% of the cash coming back in on the Kings, so the cash percentage is taking the points with the Kings. Again, I think the Clippers have a little bit more motivation there, so slightly more, because the Kings are basically just guaranteed to be in that last play-in game there. Spurs and Suns, yeah, I mean, there's a larger range of outcomes for the Clippers there. As I said, Suns are eliminated, but they're actually taking some money here, up from 4 to 4.5, 85% of the cash, 56% of tickets on the Spurs. Kind of strange. I mean, the Suns have been playing awful, so the public doesn't want anything to do with them. Now that they're eliminated, maybe they actually will show up because they have no pressure on them anymore. It's that, or it could be a complete dream crusher. I don't know. But the way they've been playing so bad, they might want to kind of stave off embarrassment there. And then you got Houston and the Lakers. Houston has nothing to play for here, so that's the issue. Houston is locked into the 2 seed. Lakers still have that wide range of outcomes. They're sitting in the 3 right now, but they could drop all the way to the 8, I think, potentially. So that they don't want that to happen, but they're laying 10 points up from 8 to 10, and they did just beat Houston not that long ago, though I don't think Houston is really going to focus on this game, even though it is the Lakers. The line seems to indicate Houston is probably going to rest some guys in this game, which is why the line is that high. So that's it for NBA. Let's go to MLB here. Let's try to get this done fast, man. MLB, I'm actually skipping a bunch of games here, so we'll see. I am on the first game up, which is Cleveland on the money line, minus 138 here. Where's Cleveland at? Let me see. They're up from minus 140 to minus 142 now. They look like a public underdog right now, which is kind of interesting. 71% of tickets and only 56% of the cash coming in at Kansas City. I like Cleveland in this game. Both teams played yesterday. I believe Kansas City used more of their bullpen yesterday because Cleveland had a pretty easy win over the White Sox. Kansas City was kind of locked in more of a battle against Minnesota. So I think I like how the bullpen situation sets up for Cleveland better. And I think their bullpen, even though they lost some guys from last year and they haven't been good so far this season, really, they still have a lot of arms that they had in that really good bullpen last year. So I think they're going to turn it around a little bit. And then looking at the starting pitching matchup, I'm going to go with Tanner Bibby. And I think his numbers so far this season versus Bubich's, I think, are why the public seems to want Kansas City here, because they're looking at Bibby. I mean, he was their ace last year, though. So should you really take into account basically one bad start that he's had so far? I mean, obviously, I'm not going to do that. I think he's still a good pitcher. I don't care about one start where he didn't have it. 6.52 ERA this year is going to dissuade some people. 1.34 whip. Yeah, that's not good. 6-3 strikeout walk ratio is not good, but he did have a shutout through 5 2/3 in the first game, which, was against Kansas City, by the way. So it does mean Kansas City did just see him. So I guess that's a little bit of a concern because Kansas City's recently familiar with him, but I don't think it really matters that much when it's a guy that they face in their division a lot. They're already familiar with him, and he just pitches well against them. So that's the thing. So I don't think the fact that they just faced him is going to help Kansas City's offense as much as it would as if they had just faced somebody that they never faced before. Now they know what he throws. They already know what Bibby throws, and they haven't done that well against him. But Bibby, I think, is going to want to bounce back. I mean, this game at Anaheim, he gave up 4 home runs in this game, man. Had a 4.1 strikeout walk ratio, which is not even bad. But the home runs just completely did him in there. Against Kansas City, let's see real quick. I want to get through these games quick. Lifetime 106 at bats, even though, he does have too many walks against them. 25 to 13 strikeout walk ratio. That's a little bit alarming, but other than that, and the 5 home runs might be a little bit of a concern, but 4 of them are from Massey and Pasquantino. So Vinny Pasquantino, great Italian name there. So I'm still not that concerned by that too. When 2 guys do a huge amount of the damage there, they're only going to get so many at bats worth themselves. In the 106 at bats, huge sample size, he has held him to a 198 batting average, which is very insane for that big of a sample size. And 673 OPS, a little bit higher because of the walks and home runs, but even that OPS isn't that bad. So Bibby does well. It's Bibby against Bubic, man. Booby against Bubic. Bubic has looked good so far. He's allowed no runs so far. The 16-3 strikeout walk ratio, all of that looks pretty good. So he's good, right? Well, I don't know about that because his career ERA is still 1.45. He's mostly been like a reliever the last couple of years. So, and he hasn't even really made that many appearances. He made no starts prior to this year. His last start was in 2023. I still don't trust this guy, man. 4.5 career ERA. I think just we're looking at way too small a sample size here to really glean anything from it. Looking at this season's numbers, but I think this is why the public is on Kansas City. Oh, their pitcher has a 0 ERA versus Cleveland's having a 6 ERA. Yeah, again, Bibby is still the better starter here. Bubic against Cleveland hasn't done that well in 27 at-bats, 296 average, 737 OPS is a little bit low, but they've hit him decently. So I'm going to take Cleveland there or lay the money line there with Cleveland. I think they have the starting pitching edge. I think they have the bullpen edge a little bit and bullpen rest edge there as well. So I like all of that. And they're staying at home, although Kansas City's starting a road trip and not traveling that far really isn't that much of a concern, but that's the way that it is. Cincinnati's returning from the West Coast, so I would want to look to maybe go against Cincinnati, but the problem is Brady Singer is the better pitcher over Bailey Falter, in my opinion. But then the other problem is both of these pitchers, I think, actually have bad numbers against the opposing lineup, so could be maybe an over look there. But then the problem with that is that the money looks like it's actually dropping that line down. So the money looks like it's actually coming in the under there, so I'll just stay away from that one. What other thoughts do I have? Money was coming in on Tampa Bay when I saw, because Bryce Elder is just really not a good pitcher for Atlanta. Atlanta's coming off an 11-inning night game last night. They were the only night game last night. So now they have to quickly turn around from that. They're not traveling that far down to Tampa, but still, they had the night game last night. They used a bunch of their relievers. They have a bad starter pitching. Problem is Taj Bradley doesn't have great numbers against Atlanta either. And Tampa did also play yesterday, but they got blown out. Although I think they did use some of their relief pitchers as well. They probably have the better of the two bullpens here and the better starter. Atlanta has the better offense. Atlanta probably in a little bit of the worst spot based on all that. Is at least Tampa played in the afternoon, and that game was done early, but still, and they got blown out, so they'll be in a little bit of a bounce-back mode. The money is coming in that way. I probably do prefer Bradley over Elder in that starting pitching matchup, but I'm not touching the game. Baltimore-Toronto looks like it could be an under to me with Bowden Francis against Sugano. Both pitchers, I mean, Francis has been really good since the later half of last year, really good pitcher. Sugano is new to the major leagues, so usually you're looking at him and saying, okay, these hitters are unfamiliar with him. The problem is his MLB debut was 2 starts ago, and it was against Toronto, so Toronto saw him. And he didn't do particularly well in the game, and he left with like some sort of soreness or something. So that doesn't look great. So his numbers against Toronto, they've seen him, and his numbers actually aren't that great. And Francis's numbers actually aren't that great in his career against Baltimore either. So I have to stay away from that one too, even though it looks like it could be an under type of game there. I'm just going to stay away from that one. Now, the money looks like it is coming in a bit on the under in that one. That would only be a lean for me. I'm not going to do anything with it. I like Washington. They're starting a road trip. Miami's returning home from a road trip, I believe. Although they stayed on the East Coast, but they did just beat the Mets finally. Washington's coming off a tough series against the Dodgers, against themselves, against the Dodgers. So that's the problem. Washington almost swept the Dodgers, and they only lost the last game by 1 run. Or I did have the Dodgers in that game. So I don't really love the spot for Washington, even though otherwise I kind of would like it because they're starting a road trip. Which is usually a focus spot. Miami returning home from a road trip. Washington's the better team, and I still prefer their starter, Mitchell Parker, over Cal Quantrill. Quantrill's not that good. His numbers are mediocre against Washington, and Mitchell Parker has good numbers against Miami, by the way. Miami has 16 at-bats against him, and they have no hits. So Parker has no-hit them through 16 at-bats in his career. So we will see. Next up, I do have a play on the White Sox. I'm just going to play this like the spread. I mean, I know I keep playing the White Sox, but when a team was historically bad the prior year, I think you get some value on them in some spots, and I do not like the Red Sox here. Red Sox had to go into extra innings, got a big win yesterday over Toronto. Now they're traveling. Chicago played yesterday too, but they played a little bit earlier and they lost that game. That game was out of reach. So Chicago, they actually barely used any of their bullpen in that game, I think. So the Red Sox bullpen is actually more used up after yesterday, and they played a little bit later in the day. Red Sox having to travel a little bit further out to Chicago. I know when you start a road trip, you're usually focused, but the Red Sox coming off that big divisional win, playing the worst team in baseball last year, I don't know that the Red Sox are really going to be totally focused here. Teams tend to overlook Chicago, and Chicago had a nice they played fairly well in that series against Cleveland. They covered two of the numbers, at least, even though they got swept. So I think Chicago is still going to be a little bit motivated here, but they played better than you would think. I mean, they have an awful record, but they've actually been somewhat competitive in a bunch of these games. So we're going to take them to stay within this game here. And the Red Sox have their worst starter on the mound, man. Sean Newcomb. He's got a Duke Nukem 2.19 whip so far this year. Indicates that his ERA should be even worse than it is, a 5.19. He's got 5 walks and 14 hits allowed in 8 2/3 innings. That's awful. He's allowed 5 runs with no home runs allowed so far. So that doesn't look good either. He had a better start against St. Louis. Hasn't gone 5 innings in either start, though. I don't think he's good at all. I mean, he's in his 30s, and his career numbers are pretty bad. 1.48 whip in his career, bad. 4.52 ERA, bad. 1.9 strikeout walk ratio, bad. I mean, he's just bad across the board pretty much. And against, who are we playing here? Against the White Sox. I think they actually have seen him before. Let's bring up the White Sox. I hate when ESPN doesn't defaulted to the right team when the new series starts. Against the White Sox, we got 20 at-bats worth, and they have a 300 average off them and 783 OPS. So even these bad White Sox hitters have done fine against Newcomb. Davis Martin's pitching for the White Sox. Bad-looking ERA, 5.73, 1.55 whip, also not good. But he's a little bit of the younger guy, and he actually had a good start to start the season against Anaheim. That was his home start. He didn't do well on the road against Detroit. Gave up 7 earned runs, but I mean, some of that was because of 2 home runs. Now he's back at home where he did pitch better. So far this year, much better at home than on the road. I mean, very small sample size, so I don't know what you can really take away from that. But against Boston, I know Martin hasn't really been that good yet in his career, and he's almost 30 now. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to be a great pitcher, but the Red Sox haven't had success against him. The guys that have seen him in 13 at-bats were only hit him 154, 2 hits, 154 average, 368 OPS with no walks or extra base hits. So the guys that the Red Sox lineup that have seen him haven't done well. The rest of the Red Sox lineup hasn't even seen him. So, yeah, we'll grab the White Sox to play that game to within a run for the 3rd time in 4 games, and they did it the last 2 games. Next up, another play from me. I'm going to take Anaheim as an underdog here with Jack Kohanowitz against Ronel Blanco. I like how this one sets up. Houston's returning home from the Pacific Coast. Not a great spot for them. They went up to Minnesota, 2 road series in a row. Went out to Seattle, big divisional game series. I know this is a divisional series as well, but I think based on how bad Anaheim was last year, you might overlook them a little bit. And I know they have the better record this year so far, so getting them as an underdog might look a little bit tempting, but I mean, the Astros still have that name behind them, and I am worried that the Astros do have 88% of the cash coming into them right now and 61% of the tickets on Anaheim, maybe for that reason, because they do have the better record, and they're probably still not the better team over Houston, but Anaheim does have a better offense than you think they do, especially with Trout still in there if he's still healthy. Houston's offense is taking a step back this year without Bregman and Kyle Tucker, as I keep pointing out. The line on Houston has dropped from -150 to -138, so some money did initially come in on Anaheim. It looks like, even though it looks like Houston has a cash percentage right now, I don't know that it's going to stay that way because I don't think Houston's in a good spot, returning home from a road trip. Both teams didn't play, or excuse me, LA did play yesterday, actually, but Soriano went like 8 innings in that game, had a great start, so he pretty much saved LA's entire pen, or Anaheim's entire pen. I think they only had like 11 pitches out of their bullpen yesterday. So Anaheim's bullpen, despite the fact they played yesterday, their bullpen is actually still fresh coming into this game. So I like that. Anaheim is just going from Tampa to Houston and continuing a road trip with a little bit of momentum off of that win yesterday, I think. I think they will pay attention to Houston because Houston has been a staple of the AL West for a while and has continually won this division or gotten into the playoffs from this division. So I think Anaheim does want to win this game. And the starting pitching matchup seals it for me, because usually I'll look to the team that was resting yesterday over the team that played. But because Anaheim used almost none of their bullpen and the spot sets up better for them, where it's a return home spot for Houston, and the starting pitching matchup is better, I'm going to go with Anaheim. You got the towering Jack Kohanowitz on the mound here. I talk about him quite a bit. He's off to a nice start this season, allowing 2 earned runs in each of his starts so far. 8.3 strikeout walk ratio isn't that great. He's allowed 3 home runs somehow and still only allowed 4 earned runs total. So he's limiting the damage. He hasn't been that hittable otherwise. 8 hits in 11 innings. He's a young guy. He's only 24. He's still finding his way. And he's got good stuff, and Houston has never seen him before. So I think Kohanowitz, he's starting to become something. He was a highly touted prospect, I think, for Anaheim. He's starting to look good, and I think because he's a good pitcher with good stuff, and Houston has never seen him before, I think that's an advantage to Kohanowitz. Ronel Blanco, on the other hand, off to a terrible start this season, which I think is also why Anaheim is getting the public action. But in this case, I don't think it's misleading. Blanco has been awful. Maybe the pine tar is no longer working for him, man, or because he's not allowed to use it anymore. 6 walks in 6 2/3 so far, and 7 earned runs allowed and 8 hits allowed. 9 strikeouts is good. He's still striking guys out, but he is all over the place, wild. He's not doing well at all. He didn't even make it through 2 innings in his last start. I don't think he'll be that bad this time. He should bounce back a little bit, but his numbers against Anaheim are actually bad. In 29 at-bats, we're 7.4 strikeout walk ratio, 345 average, 976 OPS. So Anaheim actually hits him well. So we're going to do it and take Anaheim as an underdog. Next up, we got Detroit, Minnesota. I'm going to be on Detroit on the money line here. Reese Olson, I think, is going to bounce back. And this is a spot where Minnesota did play yesterday. It looks like Minnesota is up from -105 to -108. Not much to glean from that. Minnesota played yesterday, that tough game against Kansas City. So they did use some of their bullpen in that game while Detroit had the day off. Detroit is now starting a road trip. So Detroit, the more rested team, rested bullpen, starting a road trip. You tend to be focused there. Minnesota actually returning home from a small road trip that only took them to Kansas City, so that doesn't matter that much, but it's still, you can add that into the handicap a little bit. And then Reese Olson, I think people are off of him right now because his start to the season hasn't been good, but he does still have 10 strikeouts in 10 2/3. It's just the 5 walks have been really bad so far, but he started he started out against the Dodgers. I mean, what can you really say about that? The Dodgers are the best offense in baseball, probably. And he didn't do well against them. I'll give him a pass. And that was his first game of the season, too. I'll give him a pass for that. Did better against the White Sox. I think he'll continue to round back into form. I mean, he's a good young pitcher. He has a couple of good seasons under his belt already. So I don't think anything's going to change here. I think Olson is still a good pitcher. And against Minnesota, he's done fine, holding them to 273 average, but a pretty low 683 OPS with a 15-3 strikeout walk ratio. So that's pretty good. Even though he's allowed some hits to them, he's kept them in check, not allowing a lot of extra base hits, not allowing a lot of walks. David Festa, the young pitcher pitching for Minnesota here, he could have decent stuff, could become a good pitcher at some point, but this is his first start of the season. Didn't really do well last year, so I'm a little bit concerned about him. And Detroit did face him because they're in the same division, and he didn't do well at all. In 11 at-bats worth, only 4 of their hitters saw him, but even those hitters, they're not even their good hitters. And even those hitters went 6 for 11 off him with 2 triples and a home run for a 545 average and 1,727 OPS, 2 strikeouts and no walks. So Festa, I mean, he is completely unproven at this point, and Detroit's hitters that have seen him have done really well against him. So that's what we got going on there. I mean, Philadelphia played that late extra inning game yesterday, but now they are continuing a road trip. But still, because they played late, I would look to go against Philadelphia just because of a late extra innings game. But then again, I think St. Louis is returning home from a road trip, so not a good spot for them either. Nola against Palante. I think Nola actually surprisingly has bad numbers against St. Louis. Palante doesn't have good numbers against Philadelphia either. So in that game, I'm going to stay away from it as well. Colorado, San Diego. Marquez and Pivetta both have horrible numbers against the opposing lineups. They both do. But I don't really want to play an over in San Diego, man. And both teams were off. Or no, Colorado wasn't off yesterday. Excuse me. Colorado did play because I won on them yesterday. So their bullpen has a little bit of usage as well. So an over actually might make sense. I mean, this is one of the only spots where it might make sense to play an over in San Diego, but we'll see. Milwaukee played yesterday as well, and we don't even know who their starter is going to be yet. Arizona, I believe, is just staying at home too, so the spot sets up a lot better for Arizona. But Eduardo Rodriguez, I think, is kind of an unknown. DeGrom against Miller in Texas, Seattle looks like it should be an under, but I don't think I want to do anything with that game because they actually both have bad numbers against the opposing lineup, so I'm not going to play an over in a game at Seattle. No way, especially with two good pitchers. But just to be warned, both pitchers actually have bad numbers in this specific matchup. So the total is so low at 6.5. It actually might even make sense to actually just say that that's just too low and give you no wiggle room there with two pitchers that don't match up well against these opposing lineups. Maybe it actually makes sense to go over. Griffin Canning pitching, I mean, you always kind of want to look to go against him or look for an over against that guy. He sucks. Mets at that Sacramento Athletic Stadium there, where that's a very over-conducive stadium. JP Sears has been a serviceable pitcher for the A's. Hasn't been that bad, but his numbers I don't think are good against the Mets. Canning, I don't think has good numbers against against Oakland either, or against the A's. So an over probably makes sense there. I think the line has moved way up, but I think some money is coming back in now that the line has moved way up, coming back in and taking the under. If you do want the over, it'd be over like 9.5 with juice probably. So I do lean that way, but the final play for me will be, I have to have an under somewhere, and it's Cubs-Dodgers, man. I think the public is going to look at this and want to play an over because you got two really good offenses, but I think we actually have a starting pitching matchup that could keep the offenses in check, even though I don't know if I trust Boyd because he came from out of nowhere with his really good season with Cleveland last year. He was really never good prior to that, and he's in his 30s now, so I don't know what to make from that, but he started off the season well again this time, allowing no runs so far, although 4 walks in 11 innings, a little bit concerning, but only 9 hits, shutting out Arizona and San Diego. Arizona on the road, too. Fairly impressive. And he's actually done pretty well against the Dodgers in 49 at-bats. He has a 184 batting average against and 496 OPS. So Boyd has done well against them. And then on the other side, I mean, it's Yamamoto. I mean, he's good. So we're going to go with the under here and expect both starting pitchers to do well here. Yamamoto off to another good start to this season. I mean, there's no surprise there, really. And against the Cubs, he does have good numbers as well in his career. 39 at-bats with 128 average and 370 OPS. So he has totally dominated them. So that's going to do it for me, man. Those are all the plays today. Tower Gang Total on Twitter, patreon.com/Tower Gang. And have a good one. Happy Friday. Peace.